everybody, and welcome to Vinyl Treasures. I'm your host, Johnny G, John Galindo, coming to you live each and every Saturday only here on Top Shelf. Always want to welcome you to the July 1st, 2017 Vinyl Treasure Show on this really kind of horrible, humid day. We had two major rainstorms here in Westchester County, New York, and I don't know, maybe there's going to be more. It's kind of like a muggy weekend, hopefully this 4th of July kind of weekend. It's kind of weird because Monday is not really a holiday, although I am taking off that day. Actually, I have to go see the doctor. I have not been feeling well this week, but got to get it checked out because it could be a serious thing, and I still want to be here. Yes, I do. So welcome to the Vinyl Treasure Show. It's all 1950s and early 60s 45s out of my collection. We opened up tonight's show with an artist out of Providence, Rhode Island. He goes by the name of Dick Caruso, mostly known for his teen 45s on the MGM record label, I think in late 1959, early 1960. He performed a couple of those teen tunes on Dick Clark's American Bandstand, I think the Saturday Night Show, but this was his debut single, which was an interesting instrumental. A song that he wrote came out on the Duchess label. It was called Rockin' with Richard. Pretty cool intro, and which was, by the way, later covered by Earl Bostic on King Records. But he also dabbled a little bit in some acting. He did a few episodes. I think he did a Patty Duke show in 1963, Alfred Hitchcock Hour in 65, and I don't remember this show from 1965, Burke's Law. Does anyone remember that show? But anyway, that was Dick Caruso from March of 1958 on the Duchess label, Rockin' with Richard. Well, enough of my babbling here. Let's start off with the vocal portion. We open up with the very first successful vocal group to come out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Can you name that group? And initially they recorded for Joe Auerbach's Phoebe record label. They licensed a number of those masters out to the Dot label, but then all the members except one of the members, Crip Johnson, backed out of their contract with Phoebe Records because they were underage, and they signed with Mercury Records. They released 8 on the Mercury label. Now here is the B-side to their first release, which was their third biggest hit, a song called Cool Shake. Let's flip it over. Give a listen to the B-side. It features Gus Backus on lead. I'm talking about the Dell Vikings to open up tonight's Vinyl Treasure Show. May 57, the Dell Vikings on Mercury with Jitterbug Mary.
Jitterbug, 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 whoa, Jitterbug Mary. That's what they call my baby, Jitterbug Mary. Oh no, I don't mean baby, Jitterbug Mary. And now she's changed to rock and roll. Rock and roll. Oh, Jitterbug Mary. Some people think she's crazy, Jitterbug Mary. She makes my brain so hazy, Jitterbug Mary. And now she's changed to rock and roll. Rock and roll. Jitterbug is standing on a corner, doing what she wants to do. Jitterbug standing on a corner.
I bet you waiting for you.
Oh, Jitterbug Mary. Some people think she's crazy, Jitterbug Mary. She makes my brain so hazy, Jitterbug Mary. And now she's changed to rock and roll. Rock and roll. Jitterbug is standing on a corner, doing what she wants to do. Jitterbug is standing on a corner.
I bet you waiting for you.
Jitterbug Mary. Some people think she's crazy, Jitterbug Mary. She makes my brain so hazy, Jitterbug Mary. And now she's changed to rock and roll. And now she's changed to rock and roll. And now she's changed to rock and roll.
Now she changed to rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
Cool tunes open up the vocal portion of the Vinyl Treasure Show. That's a great two-sided 45. Cool Shake was the A-side. That was the third biggest hit for the Dell Vikings, and that's the B-side. The B-side there, Jitterbug Mary, May 1957. That's on the Mercury record label. The first of 3 for the Dell Vikings on Mercury Records. It features Gus Backus on lead. I featured one of his solo records not too long ago, a couple months ago, on the Carlton record label. John G here for a Saturday evening. It's my all 1950s and early 60s edition. This next group, they are from Westchester County, very close to where your host Johnny G is broadcasting from. They're from White Plains, New York. They have 2 overall releases. Their first one came out on a major label, Warner Brothers Records, and the group consisted of Bobby Benedict, Tom Gerard, Eddie Ibanez, Jimmy Marquet, and Chris Teddy. All together, they were known as the Del Rays. This one from November 1958. We go to Warner Brothers Records, the Del Rays, with a song called The One I Adore. That's a debut single for a group called the Del Rays from November 1958. It's on the Warner Brother record label. The One I Adore is the name of that song. They're from White Plains, New York, which is a couple towns over from where I live. They have one other great tune on the Moon label out of Newark, New Jersey, Have a Heart. I don't know if you know that tune, but that's a good record by that Del Rays group. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening. We count down the music chronologically on the 50s and early 60s edition. Got a pretty rare 45 on Don Roby's Duke label. I posted this one up on my Facebook wall. Now, Don Roby's Duke label's out of Houston, Texas, but this group is out of Brooklyn, New York. They were formed in the late 1940s by Billy Dawn. They recorded as the Billy Dawn Quartet. Then they changed their name to the Four Dukes, and they are doing a cover song first done by Daryl Glenn, which was a song done in country style. And I'm sure you know versions by the Orioles and also by Elvis Presley, but how about this version by the Four Dukes? It features Donnie Staystead on lead. Let's go back to July of 1953. The Four Dukes on Duke with their version of the tune Crying in the Chapel.
Crying in the chapel, the tears I shed were tears of joy. I know the meaning of the day. I am happy with the Lord. Just a plain and simple chapel where all good people go to pray. I praise the Lord that I'll go stronger as I live from day to day. And I think, but I couldn't find nowhere on earth to find peace of mind. But I'm happy in the chapel where people are of one accord. Yes, we gather in the chapel just to sing and praise the Lord. And you think, but you'll never find nowhere on earth to find peace of mind. Take your troubles to the chapel. Get down on your knees and pray. Then your burden will be light, and you'll surely find the way.
Hissing all on that 45. Probably should have played that with a 78 needle. I do have a 78 needle here. These Newmark turntables are 3-speed, and I had them. I had the shell heads wired for mono. You get copper wire, and you circle the nodes on the shell heads. Anyway, that is a rare 45. That's probably the rarest 45 on the Duke label, Group 45. The four Dukes there, July 1953, their version of Crying in the Chapel. Interesting thing is that on the label it gives the music director as Al Brown. That's the same Al Brown that we know associated with the Crest and the Joyce label and so many other cool groups. And I remember when I won this in an auction, didn't really pay a lot of money for it. It was Jeff Beckman. I'm sure some of you old-time collectors know Jeff Beckman. He auctioned off his entire collection in a Gold Mine ad when Gold Mine used to put out that trade magazine. And I won a few records. I bid a little bit higher on this one, probably something like $75 or $80 at the time. Won the record. It looks really nice, but it plays with a little bit of a hiss, unfortunately. But that's how some of these presses do. But they just do that. Anyway, John G here for a Saturday evening. Got to give a shout out to Andrew Turner, Donald McGee, and Alan Carner tuning in to the Vinyltreasure Show. Thanks to tuning in, and all of those of you in the chat room there listening to some cool original vinyl 45s. Let's continue here. Up next, a group out of Cleveland, Ohio, and they were so anxious to record, they approached Alan Freed when he was doing a radio show, and they said, look, we got a great record. We think it's going to be a hit. Can you get us a record contract? And Alan Freed was very instrumental with getting this group signed to Chess Records. Of course, Freed had an in with Leonard Chess because he was managing the Moonglows at the time, and I think he just about got them signed to Chess Records actually a little bit after this release. But Freed would only let them sign only if he would be given full writer credit of both sides of the record. And so the group agreed because Alan Freed did not write both sides of this 45. Neither side he did, but he does get the writer credit. And the group agreed, and it's their first release. Actually, the intended B-side of their first 45, they did 2 on Chess, was actually a big number 3 hit. It was a hit for them, a song called Nadine. But that was the intended B-side of the 45. Let's flip it over, give a listen to the intended A-side. It features Charles Carruthers on lead. We go back to August 1953 for this group called the Coronets. The Coronets on Chess with the A-side called I'm All Alone. Those are the Coronets, scratchy record and all. Flip side of Nadine, a tune you probably heard on the Time Capsule show. Nadine is the side that was a hit, but that's the intended A-side. I'm All Alone, August 1953 on the Chess record label. Those are the Coronets, first of 2 on Chess Records. They had others on Sterling, was another label, and also on the Groove record label. And you're not all alone when you tune into Johnny G and the Vinyl Treasure Show here on Saturday evenings. And let's continue here. And I just love this next group from Chicago, Illinois. Their early sides on Chance and Parrot were never really successful. And when they signed with Leonard Chess and his Checker label, they did find some success, mainly due to the promotion of their records by Alan Freed. Now, here's their third and final release on Al Benson's Parrot label. It features Nate Nelson on lead. We go back to January 1955. You know I'm talking about the Flamingos. This is on the Parrot label, and a great tune, a song I like there, tune called I'm Yours.
Do-wop, All the world knows I'm yours, and I only hope and pray that someday I'll hear you say I'm yours. Darling, I'm yours. I'm yours. Every kiss says I'm yours. Can't you see it in my eyes? Can't you hear it in my song? I'm yours. Oh, my life and my love, dear, are yours to command. I stand here before you, my heart in my hand. I'm yours. All the world knows I'm yours, and I only hope and pray that someday I'll hear you say I'm
Those are the great Flamingos. Flamingos on the Parrot label. That's their third and final release on Parrot. Nate Nelson on lead. He just joined the group. He was like a new member of the group there. January 1955, I'm Yours. You collectors out there, if you have this 45, there's some controversy as first presses on this. I mean, I've always seen it on the shiny Parrot label, but somebody tells me that it comes on like that flat maroon label, not the shiny label, and I've never seen that, so I don't know which one's first. I think the shiny labels are the later press, if I'm not mistaken, but I don't know. Johnny G doesn't know, but anyway, the great Flamingos there. Really, that record never really made it. It should have. After Checker Records, though, they signed with Decca, and they really didn't do that well with such a major label like Decca, unfortunately, but they did have a lot of success when they signed with George Gollner and his End record label. Had very well known nationally and worldwide at that time, the Flamingos. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening spinning original vinyl 45s. How about we stay with a twin spin on Al Benson's Parrot record label, and it's the only release for this group. They're called the Five Arrows, and no info available on this group, but they do only one side of the record, and I think it's not the intended A side, because the intended A side gives credit only to the band leader. His name is Paul Bascombe and his orchestra, and there's a female vocalist that's not mentioned on the A side. Her name is Gloria Valdez, and she's actually Paul Bascombe's wife, but we're going to give a listen to the B-side. It's a vocal by a group called the Five Arrows. They actually were imported, it found out, imported in the article I read from New York City to record this. It's from September 55, the Five Arrows. We go back to Parrot Records, their tune called Pretty Little Thing.
I saw a woman walking down the street where she looked so lovely, oh so sweet, oh how lovely, oh how lovely she was, oh how lovely, oh how lovely, oh what a pretty little thing she was. Walked down the street swinging side to side, well her hips were shaking and her dress was flying, oh how lovely. Oh, how lovely she was. Oh, how lovely. Oh, how lovely. Oh, what a pretty little thing she was.
September 1955 there for the Five Arrows. Five Arrows on Al Benson's Parrot label. Pretty Little Thing is the name of the tune. I think I got most of the releases on the Parrot record label, except one, really, by the Flamingos. I really don't want to know. That is a very hard 45 to find. I do have it on 78. I should be doing a 78 special soon. That sounds good. Pull out some of my rare 78s. You guys want to hear some 78s? They play pretty nice. They play a lot better than the 45s. The 78s on that four Dukes I played sounds crystal clear. Anyway, John G babbling on here. Let's continue. Here's my first flip side from the previous 50s show. I think I pulled 8 45s for play the flip sides of tonight, and featured the A side of this 45 on Johnny Getz's Million label out of Hollywood, California, as done by Rayvon Darnell. He was backed up by a group called The Voices. It was called I'll Be Back. Well, let's give a spin to the B side. We go back to July 1955. Million Records, Rayvon Darnell and The Voices here with a tune called One of These Mornings.
Woo! One of these mornings.
One of these mornings.
Woo!
One of these mornings. Oh, baby. Wake up and find me gone.
One of these mornings. One of these mornings.
Oh, yes. One of these mornings. Oh, baby. Wake up and find me gone. Got an evil disposition, and your understanding's bad. Now the way you treat me, baby, can drive a poor man mad. These mornings, these mornings, one of these mornings, baby, wake up and find me gone. Now you wake up one morning screaming, just about the break of day. You'll be looking for me, baby. I'll be so far away. One of these mornings, these mornings, whoa! One of these mornings, baby, gonna wake up and find me gone. Doctor, you'll have trouble with your heart. Eyesight will fail you, baby. Be so far apart. You'll beg me to forgive you. Try to get me back somehow. I've got news for you, sugar.
Sounds of California here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. That's not an easy 45 to find on the Million record label, July 55. Rayvon Darnell's his name. And The Voices, One of These Mornings. Now, The Voices also had their own releases that came out on the Cash record label. They were Bobby Bird, Earl Nelson, and Jules Castron made up The Voices. Johnny G here giving you my voice here for a Saturday evening right here on Top Shelf Oldies. Let's continue here. We go to Devorah Brown's Fortune label for this next group. They had 21 releases in all between 1954 and 1964 on her Fortune record label, and this is their seventh, written by the group's lead singer. Of course, you know I'm talking about Nolan Strong. This is the intended B-side, this one from October 56. We move into 56 for the Diablos on Fortune and their song called Try Me One More Time. As Johnny G gets caught here. I'm sorry, folks. When you do a live show, you do too many things at the same time. Anyway, that's Nolan Strong and the Diablos. They do ballads and up-tempos. Actually, they're probably known more for their ballads, but that's pretty cool up-tempo. Their tail slapper, as North Dakota Bob says. That's a B-side there, October 1956, Devorah Brown's Fortune label. Try Me One More Time is the name of that tune. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening as we continue. I used to hear this next song quite often on New York oldie radio, but no more. You could never hear this on terrestrial radio probably ever again. You will hear it here on my show and also on Top Shelf Oldies, and I don't know, maybe Cool Bobby B is the only other one who plays it. I don't think I've ever heard this on the 50s on 5 on Sirius, but it's a great group out of Harlem, New York, recorded for High Weiss's Old Town record label. No matter who the lead, either Herman Curtis or Milton Love, their songs are magical, and here is their 10th release on Old Town Records, and many of you know this song under the second title. The second title was called The Angels Sang, but initially, when it first came out, it was called You're Back With Me. So they pulled that title back, and they repressed the labels and called it The Angels Sang, but I'm playing it on its original label. It features the great Milton Love on lead. This one charted number 29 on WCOP me in Boston, Massachusetts. This one from July of 56, the Great Solitaires on Old Town, with the original title called You're Back With Me.
The angel sang when you return to me, and now I'm filled with joy, for you are back with me. The angel sang when you return well to me, and now I'm filled with joy, for you are back with me. I was so alone, dear, longing day by day. It's so good to have you home, dear. The angel sang when you return to me, and now I'm filled with joy, for you are back with me.
July 1956 for the Solitaires. Milton Love on lead for that one. You're Back With Me is the one I featured. Of course, the Angels sang on the Second Press, High Weiss's Old Town record label. That's their 9th of 19 releases on Old Town Records between 1954 and 1963, written by the second tenor of the group, Winston Buzzy Willis. Cool tunes here for a Saturday evening. We continue here, and this next singer, he's from Columbus, Ohio, started recording back in 1949 for the Regal record label, has some other releases on OK and Savoy, but he did 3 on Sid Nathan's Deluxe label. His real name was Leo Edward Donald Jr., but you all know him as Larry Darnell. And here's his 3rd for Deluxe Records, this one from July of 57. Give a listen to Larry Darnell on Deluxe and his tune called Just Tell Me When.
Just tell me when, little turtle dove. Just tell me when you want my love. Just give me a clue, I'll know what to do. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Just tell me when you will be mine. Just tell me when life will be fine. Let me hold you close, 'cause I need you the most. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I yearn for your lips and your pleasing charms, the feel of your hair and your loving arms. Squeeze me tight with all your might. May the memories linger in my dreams tonight. Tell me when Just tell me when. Just tell me when. Just tell me when. Just tell me when.
His name's Larry Darnell. Larry Darnell, July 1957 release on the deluxe record banner, Just Tell Me When. That's the name of the tune. And he has other releases on the Argo, Warwick, Instant, I think, other labels. And unfortunate that he passed away from lung cancer July 3rd, 1983. We remember Larry Darnell here on the Vinyl Treasures show. Let's continue, though. Let's go to High Point, North Carolina for this next group. They recorded 6 on Bess Berman's Apollo record label, and this 45 was the hardest one for me to find for some reason. I don't know. Every time I would find this record, it would either play pretty crappy, and I don't know, maybe it was the batch of wax or whatever, because they would all play with hisses. And I had a couple times it was offered to me, and I always had to reject it. But this one is, I guess, an okay copy. It's slightly off center. I think I have it lined up okay. It's probably not that bad, but it's a promo, and it plays okay. It features Chester Mayfield on lead. It's the 5th of 6 for a group called the Casanovas. We go back to November of 1957, the Casanovas on Apollo, and their song's called Please Be Mine.
Do 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 do.
This way, my friends, they all say I'm in love with you, hoping someday for your love in return, hoping you'll learn, you learn. He only knows how much I care. He also knows how much I can bear. You may fly high, yes, up in the sky, but please come back or I'll die, and please be mine. Be mine. I love you so. Want you to know. Oh yes, oh yeah. Sky, but please come back or I'll die, and please be mine. Ooh, 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 ooh. Be mine.
That's the 5th of 6 for the Casanovas on Bess Berman's Apollo record label. Chester Mayfield's doing lead the Casanovas from November 1957. Please Be Mine is the name of the tune. John G here for a Saturday evening. Let's continue here. And this next song was a Gus Gossard favorite. He used to play this one a lot. That's where I first heard it, and I loved the tune. I wrote it down on my Watt list, which was about 400 pages at the time back in 1972. I remember winning my first copy from, remember that auction house out in California where you actually had to send your records to him and he would put out this booklet? I think he was eventually sued because he would never send the money to you. He would hold on to the money, but I won my first copy of this record. It was actually, I was kind of disappointed because it was a second press. It had that big print, and all the people that post this record on Facebook and whatnot, you see the big print, but I'm featuring the nice small print. I wanted to really put this one up on my Facebook wall, but a great two-sided 45 for this group that are from the Sugar Hill section of Harlem, New York. First recorded on Ben Smith's Extra label. Then they recorded 3 on Paul Winley's Winley label, and this is their first. It's a classic. I'm talking about the Collegians. It features Harlan Jackson on lead. We go back to December of 1957. The Collegians on Winley with the original press of Zoom, Zoom, Zoom.
Boom, 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 boom,
That's the first of 3 for the Collegians on Paul Winley's Winley record label. Zoom, Zoom, Zoom by the Collegians there. Harlan Jackson on lead, December 1957 release. Cool tunes here for a Saturday evening. We opened up the last 50s show with the A-side of this next 45 on Ben Smith's and Bill Bass Gordon's Teenage label. The song was called The Cow Jumped Over the Moon. It was the debut single for this group of brothers from Cincinnati, Ohio, called the Isley Brothers. Let's give a listen to the B-side of the 45. It's a blues ballad, as the label identifies, a great two-sided 45. It features Ronald Isley on lead. This one from February of 57. The Isley Brothers, the B-side to their debut single on Teenage, Angels Cried.
Angels, they cried the day that you left me, my love. Their teardrops fell down from above because we had to part to tomorrow. Angels cry while stars in the sky hid from sight, and I was alone in the night because you broke my heart. Oh, I darling, the dreams we can share the way that we did then. Although the angels cry, someday they'll smile again. Someday they'll
That is the B-side for the debut to the debut single of the Isley Brothers there on the Teenage record label, February 1957. Angels Cried is the name of that one. They've been around for 7 decades, I think. 7 decades? Wait, the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, 2010. Yes. Wow, that's a long time for the Isley Brothers. Johnny G here, spinning original vinyl 45s. Let's go back out to the West Coast for this vocal quartet. They're called the Raindrops. Now, the group consisted of Henry Houston, Moses Walker, Elroy Coleman, and an unknown fourth member. They couldn't remember who the fourth member was. And in 1956, they came to the attention of L.A. musician and record producer Nick Ferry. And he released their first 45 on his Spin It label. It was called I Found Heaven in Love. That was in December of 56. Now, during what did I say here? During that session, that 1956 session, they recorded 2 more sides. And in mid-1958, there was a little bit of a leeway there because I think some members of this group went on to record as the Cufflinks on Dutone. But in mid-1958, they released their next 45 on the Spin It label. We go back to June of 58 for the Raindrops. This features Elroy Coleman on lead, and the song is called Rockin' on the Farm.
Well, feet was stomping, knees was knocking, fingers was a-popping, and everybody rocking down by the farm. They was rocking on the farm. Oh, down by the farm, yeah, they was rocking on the farm. Fat Sadie Poe, Railroad Joe, just beat 'em up, daddy, you moving too slow. Down by the farm. They was rockin' on the farm. Well, down by the fire, they was rockin' on the farm. Well, old fire cheese and grandpa cried, a rockin' and the east is one on time. The rocked all day and the rocked all night. There wasn't a square nowhere in sight. Down by the farm, they was rockin' on the farm. Well, down by the fire, mules was kicking, pigs was squealing, hens was tucking, everybody got feeling. Down by the farm, they was rocking on the farm. Down by the fire, they was rocking on the farm. Down by the farm, they was rocking. Down by the farm, they was rolling. Down by the farm, they was jumping. Yes, down by the farm, they was stomping. Oh, down by the farm, yeah, they was rocking on the farm. Bye-bye, 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 bye-bye. Hey, woo! Down by the farm, they were rocking. Down by the farm, they were rolling.
Those are the Raindrops. That record recorded it sometime in 1956, but released in June of 1958. The Raindrops with Rockin' on the Farm. Ernie Freeman and his orchestra backing up the Raindrops there. That one's on the Spin It label. Johnny G spins it every Saturday right here on Top Shelf Oldies. We continue here for another great group that recorded for over 30 years, and they are from Harvey, Illinois. Initially recorded as the El Rays for the Checker record label. Then they crossed the street to sign with Vivian Carter's VJ record label, and they changed their name to the Dells. They put out 17 releases on VJ Records between 1955 and 1965, and let's give a listen to their 10th. It features Marvin Jr. on lead. We go back to November of 1958 for the great Dells on VJ and their tune called My Best Girl.
I must live on, my best girl, my best girl, my best girl is gone. I cried so hard. There are tears in my heart, my best girl, my girl is gone. I've tried in vain to ease the pain. The job is so very hard. If not asking too much, I need the touch of someone close to my heart. First thing I find all through the night, blame everyone for what I've done. My best girl, oh, my girl is gone. My best girl is
Yes, hiss and all. That is recycled vinyl for you collectors out there. Those are the great Dells. Marvin Jr. on lead, November 1958. Vivian Carter's VJ Records. My Best Girl is the name of that tune. The Dells did so many cool tunes. And I'm fortunate that we lost Marvin Jr., the founding member of the group, on May 29th, 2013. He was 77 years old, died from complications of kidney failure and a weak heart. But so we remember the Dells here on Vinyl Treasures and Top Shelf Oldies. John G here for a Saturday evening, a hot, humid day today and evening. Gonna sleep up here in the attic where I broadcast. Maybe I'll have some old tapes on and listen to it to put me to sleep. Yes, it will. But it's nice and cool up here in the attic where I'm broadcasting. We continue here for another side. I played couple weeks ago when I did the early 1950s and early 60s show. We opened up with Phil Johnson and the Duvalls. The song was called Wee Small Hours, came out on Irvin Litkey's Kellett label out of New York City. But let's flip the 45 over, which is the intended A-side here, and it's by another group. It's not by Phil Johnson and the Duvals. It's by a group called the Royal Notes, and they are with Floyd Williams and his orchestra. This one from October 58, the Royal Notes on Kellett, and their tune called You Are My Love.
Bye, 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 love.
October 58 release on the Kellett label, the Royal Notes, with their tune called You Are My Love. Most of the records on the Kellett label are like Hungarian songs, but there's three of them that are group records. And I think that's the last one. They're all numbered consecutively, those group records. John G here for a Saturday evening. Hope you're digging on the 1950s and early 60s sides I'm featuring tonight. We are in 1958. We got a girl group sound here. Rare 45 out of Chicago, Illinois. Don't know anything about the group, but this is the intended A-side. And it says that the band backing this group up is the Andrew McPherson's Band. Let's give a listen to this girl group. They're called The Debs, D-E-B-S, The Debs. It's from 58. It's on the Squalor label, and the song is called Star in the Sky.
From
Rare girl group sounds out of Chicago, Illinois. They're called the Debs. 1958, it's on the Squalor, Squalor, Squalor Records. Star in the Sky is the name of the tune. It's going to cost you if you find that 45. Yes, it will. John G here for a Saturday evening. Let's continue here. And up next, we go to New York City, one of George Goldner's one-off labels. It's called Petite Records. I'm featuring the intended B-side of the 45, which sounds like it's like a cover song that was first done by a group called the Newports, who were really the Falcons from Detroit. They recorded a tune on Robert West's Contour label that is very much the same as this one, and this group is called the Flints. We go back to February of 59, the Flints on Petite, with the tune called Chicky Chop Chop.
Chop, chop, chicky chop, chop, booly, 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 bop, bop. Woo! That's what my baby keeps saying when the music she likes starts playing. What she does the most, what she never does when the music is low. Every time she says, come and go, they all jump up and start singing this song. Chop, chop, chicky chop, chop, booly, 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 bop, bop. Chop, chop, chicky chop, chop, booly, 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 bop, bop. Chop, chicky chop, booly, bop, bop. Chop, chop, chicky chop, booly, bop, bop. Everybody likes this ditty, known all over the city. Nobody knows what it means, but it really jumps with the cats and queens. They got a high style, rock and roll. They all jumped up and start singing this song. Chop, chop, chicky chop, chop, booly, 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 bop, bop. Chop, chop, chicky chop, chop, booly, 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 bop, bop. Chop, chicky chop, booly, bop, bop. Chop, chop, chicky chop, booly, bop, bop. Chop, chop with the drifters. Chicky chop, chop with the platters. Chop, chop with the coasters. Chicky chop, chop with the diamonds. Booly, booly, bop with the playmates. Chop, chop, chicky chop, booly, bop, bop. Everybody likes this ditty, known all over the city. Nobody knows what it means, but it really jumps with the cats and queens. They got a high style, rock and roll. They all jumped up and start singing this song. Chop, chop, chicky chop, chop, booly, 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 bop, bop. Chop, chop, chicky chop, chop, booly, 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 bop, bop. Chop, chicky chop, booly, bop, bop. Chop, chop, chicky chop, booly, bop, bop.
Oh, that's on the Petite record label. Those are the Flints from February 1959. Chicky Chop Chop is the name of that one. They would have one more release on the OK Records. Charlene, don't you have a dog called Chicky? I don't know if you do. Anyway, Johnny G here spinning original vinyl 45s out of my collection. Got to say hello to my friend in Laval, Maryland, George Humbertson. Says, hello, George. Sent you a whole bunch of my CDs, some of them recent, some old ones, some of my shows here. I know you haven't heard them in a long, long time, but hope you're enjoying the CDs here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Let's continue here. Up next is a very rare 45, one of the first labels really to be connected with Berry Gordy Jr.'s Motown empire. Warren, you were talking about me playing a rare record out of Motown. Well, this would be probably included in that special. The label's called Rayber Records. It was named after his second wife, Raynoma Lyles, and of course for the Motown founder Berry Gordy, so Ray Burr Records, and it was one of the first records to be published under Gordy's publishing of Joe Bet Music. The tune, written by Smokey Robinson and Berry Gordy, it features the Ray Burr voices in the background. You will hear them, and this is the lone release for an artist by the name of Wade Jones. This is Wade Jones from January '59 on the Ray Burr label, and his tune called Insane.
Your kisses drives me mad. Oh, I need your love so bad. Seems I'm going insane. It's plain that I'm yours forever. Never been in love before, and I'm going insane. My head's spinning round in a circle. My mind's going round and about. I want you to take me and hold me in your arms and never let me out. Insane. Your kisses drives me mad. Oh, I need your love so bad. Seem I'm going insane.
I send that one out to Warren, currently in the Top Shelf Oldies chat room, as he is insane like I am insane with these records, his record collecting addiction. That's a cool tune. Wade Jones and the Ray Burr Voices, January 1959, on the Ray Burr label out of Detroit, Michigan, a Motown-related record, an early one. Their tune called Insane. Johnny G, hopefully not driving you insane with these 45s every Saturday from 10 to midnight right here on Top Shelf Oldies. We continue here, and on the last 50 show, I played an ultra rare 45 by this group called the Golden Bells. They were from Highland Park, New Jersey. I played a ballad, which was the B-side, called Pretty Girl. Came out on the Shure label, a label out of Linden, New Jersey. So let's flip this ultra rare 45 over, give a listen to the intended A-side, and it says that the instrumentation is provided by the Gems of Rhythm Band. Anyway, but this is the A-side from 1959, the Golden Bells on Shure, with their tune called Bells Are Ringing.
Bells are ringing, 'cause to love you. Bells are ringing, 'cause to need you. Bells are ringing, 'cause to want you now. Oh my darling, how I love you. Oh my darling, how I need you. Oh my darling, how I want you now. Darling, let me hold you close to me, 'cause I need you, darling. I want
want you, I need you, tenderly. Bells are ringing, 'cause we love you. Bells are ringing, 'cause we need you. Bells are ringing, 'cause we want you now. Wake up, Jack. Hey. Darling, let me hold you close to me, 'cause I need you, darling. I want you, I need you, tenderly. Bells are ringing, 'cause we love you. Bells are ringing, 'cause we need you. Bells are ringing, 'cause we want you now. Bells are ringing, and they're ringing, children singing. Bells are ringing, bells are ringing, 'cause we want you.
That sounds like another record. I can't really place it, but I will. Anyway, those are the Golden Bells, 1959 release on the Shure label. Bells are ringing. Johnny G, hopefully not ringing the register for you collectors out there. We continue here for a Saturday evening, and this is the last record out of 1959 here before we move into the early 60s, and it's another flip side from the last 50s show. I played the A side of this 45 on the Sunbeam label by Sonny Fulton and the Mix Masters, a song called No Not Now. But let's flip it over, give a listen to the B side, a song written by the lead singer Sonny Fulton. This one from February 59. We go to Sunbeam Records, Sonny Fulton and the Mix Masters, and their tune called Fingerprints.
Fingerprint.
Fingerprint on my broken heart.
An invitation for an operation, a close investigation of our relation would show right from the start your fingerprints on my broken heart. In love laboratory would tell the story just how you done me, darling. After you have won me, they will find all my head shattered with lead. All of my dreams are down the stream. I feel a pain running in my brain. I loved you right from the start. That's why your presence is in my heart. And love laboratory would tell the whole story, just how you done me, darling. After you had won me, they would show right from the start your fingerprints on my broken heart.
That's Sonny Fulton and the Mix Masters, February 1959. 59, Fingerprints of Scratches on the 45. Yes, Lee, that's a Sunbeam Records for that one. That's why we call it the original Vinyl 45 show. You're going to hear hisses and pops. It wouldn't be real if that wasn't the case. John G here for a Saturday evening. We move into the early 60s, 1961, and yet another B-side from the last Vinyl Treasure show. I featured a novelty tune by a group called the Sweet Sick Teens. A song called Agnes the Teenage Russian Spy was originally from an album created by Mad Magazine. So let's flip the 45 over, as I think this is a dance on the flip side. It's from September of 1961. These are the Sweet Sick Teens, and Bobby Russo, I don't know if he's doing lead on this side, but it's the Sweet Sick Teens on RCA with a song called The Pretzel.
Come on, everybody, let's do the pretzel. Throw an arm around your neck, the other one under your leg. Cross your feet, hop a beat. Let's do the pretzel. Take a toe in your hand, double up the other knee. Chop on a pretzel, you can put it a pretzel, you can what to say like heck. You can twist it, you can chicken, you can stop it, you can stroke, you can also break your leg. Bend your back and touch your toes. Dip your hand under your knee. Left foot high, turn about, yeah. Let's do the pretzel. Twist it, you can chicken, you can stop it, you can stroke, you can also break your leg. Bend your back and touch your toes. Dip your hand under your knee. Left foot high, turn about. Let's do the pretzel. Come on, honey, let's do the pretzel. That's it, baby, I'm moving right. Pretzel.
Hey, those are the Sweet Sick Teens there. Sounds like Mike Russo's on lead, the same guy on the flip side there. September 1961 on the RCA record label called The Pretzel. Now, speaking of pretzels, and any of you familiar with a store called Whole Foods? Well, they got some pretty cool pretzels dipped in dark chocolate. My coworker, Godfrey Allen, he picks up lunch at Whole Foods, and he brings back these pretzels they're actually pretty large. They're covered in dark chocolate. Also, once in a while, they dip Oreos in dark chocolate. That is another. I shouldn't be eating that. Not with my high blood pressure. That's got to stop, but they're really good. Anyway, John G babbling on here for a Saturday evening. Let's continue here. And we head back out to Los Angeles, California for another girl group sound. And I guess this song could be considered an answer song to Shep and the Limelight's Daddy's Home. Now, the lead singer of this girl group, her name is Carolyn Willis. This one's on the Raystar label. It's from June of 61. Give a listen to the Sweethearts. The Sweethearts on Raystar with their tune called Sorry Daddy.
Daddy, Mama is glad that you come back home. But I'm sorry, pretty daddy, but you waited too long. wasted many a moment. Tears in my eyes. But the best friend the road told you is now by my side. Sorry, Daddy. Sorry, Daddy. I'm gone. It wasn't on a Sunday. Monday and Tuesday went by. It wasn't on a Tuesday afternoon. That's when your best friend came by. But I told him, oh, your promise is divine. Then he looked in my eyes and changed my mind. How I've wasted many a moment with tears in my eyes. But the best friend the road told you is now by my side. Sorry, Daddy. Sorry, Daddy. I'm gone. Sorry, Daddy. I'm gone. You stayed away much too long.
Answer tunes here on the Vinyl Treasure are actually some of the same lyrics of that Shep and the Limelight's Daddy's Home, but those are the Sweethearts out of Los Angeles, California, Raystar Records. June 61, Sorry Daddy is the name of that one. It features Carolyn Willis on lead. They would have two later releases on the Kent record label. One that sounds like one of the Supremes records. I don't know if I've played it. I may have. And that one there. Bought that from Barry Soltz a long time ago. When I was working in White Plains, he actually called me up. He made some record hits somewhere. A lot of great records in clean. I remember he sold me that Rare Angel by the Satin Tones and a whole bunch of others. It was a big purchase, but they were all mint. And that is a mint copy for that one. John G. babbling on here for a Saturday evening. We are in the early 60s, and we head back to New York City to the Madison record label for this singer that goes by the name of Marvin Della Croce. That is his real name, but on the 45, he's known as Eddie Delmar, and a group is backing him up on this. They are the Bob Knight Four. They are backing him up, but they don't get credit on the label. It's Madison Records, September 61. Give a listen to Eddie Delmar and his tune called Love Bells.
Your eyes, they tell me the lies your lips have told. Your kisses show me our love is growing cold. You belong to me, oh darling, can't you see? You said you'd love me through all eternity. Oh darling, can't you see? Our love was meant to be. You belong to me. Oh darling, can't you see? The bells, they ring out a song for us to sing. The words I love you are ding dong, ding dong, ding. Our romance is over. It's a thing of the past.
That's Eddie Delmar. Eddie Delmar on the Madison label out of New York City. Love Bells is the name of that one, September 1961. John G spinning early 60s. Featured the A-side of this next 45 on the Russ label by this New Haven, Connecticut group. They were known as the Premiers. Roger Koob, he's the lead singer of the group. He wrote the A-side. It was called She Gives Me Fever. He also wrote the B-side, and it's from April of 61. Let's give a listen to the Premiers on Rust with their tune called Falling Star.
Falling star, falling star, ooh. Falling star, falling star, ooh.
Oh, falling star. How I feel for the love that I've searched so far. Won't you help me, falling star?
Falling star, falling star, too.
I've waited so hopelessly for you, my dear, and the day that you will return. It seems like a million years until I'd never have to fear that our love would melt like a burning ember. Oh, falling star. Traveled far, hope someday that you'll come again as a lovely falling star,
falling star,
as a lovely falling star,
falling star,
as a lovely falling star.
I got to send that one out to Lady Linda, currently in the Top Shelf Oldie Shower. She likes that tune by the Premiers. April 1961, Roger Koob on lead. That's the B-side on the Russ record label, Falling Star. Now, they also recorded as Roger and the Travelers on the Ember label and also as the Frontiers on the Phillips label. John G here for a Saturday evening. We are in the early 1960s, and let's stay in the year 1961. We head back to New York City to the Carol label. Now, recently I featured both sides of a Jordan and the Fascinations 45 on Carol. Here's another one by a group called the Delroys. I'm playing the B-side of the 45, which is written by the lead singer. It goes by the name of Ray Payne. Let's give a listen to the Delroys. It's from July 61. The song is called Pleasing You.
Well, have you heard the word? The word is Thunderbird.
Not today, the word is hombre.
Well, I love you, baby, yes, God knows that you do anything, darling, that you want me to. I wanna live, ooh, to please you. Well, I wanna live just to please you. Well, when you're happy, it makes me happy to do anything, darling, that you want me to. I wanna live, ooh, to please you. Well, I wanna live just to please you.
Put your arms around me.
I love you.
Say that you'll be mine. Make my
got paid, gonna buy some more bread. Well, I love you, baby, yes, God knows I do anything, darling, that you want me to. I wanna live, ooh, to please you. Well, I wanna live just to please you, girl, and
As Johnny G gets caught here again. Yes, I do. Those are the Delroys. The Delroys there from July 1961. Pleasing You is the name of the tune on the Carol record label. Hopefully that's what Johnny G is doing for you, the Top Shelf Oldies listeners, as I love to play my 45s as we continue here and go to another flip side, another B-side from last week's show. Actually, I played the B-side of this 45 on Johnny Otis's Eldo label. It's by a group called the Twilighters. It was called Do You Believe? But this is the intended A-side, and I recently got this record. I didn't have it. It was a missing Eldo number from June of 61. Give a listen to the Twilighters. It's called Nothing.
nothing, 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 baby, absolutely nothing, 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 nothing will never stop me from loving you. Absolutely nothing. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Nothing, 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 nothing. Honey, positively nothing, 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 nothing has ever thrilled me like kissing you, like kissing you. Forever I'll need you, forever I want you, and never and never and never will I ever, ever, ever let you go. Never let you go. Nothing, 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 nothing. Baby, now, no, no, nothing, 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 nothing will ever part us, and heaven will be mine. Absolutely nothing, no, 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 nothing, 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 nothing at all.
Out of California there, they're called the Twilighters, June 1961. On Johnny Otis's Eldo label, a song entitled Nothing. Now, I know possibly why Johnny Otis may have pulled that record, because I had the gain all the way up. If you look at this record, the grooves are so tightly together, and that was really unheard of for a record out of 1961. That's when the grooves became a lot wider and the sound became a lot fuller, but not for that 45. They probably pressed that wrong, which is why he probably pulled that 45. Johnny G babbling on here for a Saturday evening. We are in the year 1961. This is a pretty rare record. Up next on the Forum label, it's really Morty Kraft's. Yes, Charlene, you are correct. It's Morty Kraft's Forum label, or he at least pressed this for the Forum label, and it's a group out of Queens, New York, and it's a rare 45 from 61. They're called the Delrons, and their tune is called This Love of Ours.
Time goes by each and every day, but my love for you, my darling, will never fade away. This love of ours,
Yes, that's a rare white group sound there. They're called the Delrons. 1961. Whoops, didn't shut off. 1961 release on Morty Craft's Forum label. This Love of Ours is the name of the tune. John G here, continuing with 1960. Last we move into 1962 for this group out of Memphis, Tennessee. Started recording, I think, in 1957 on the Meteor label. Alone Rainy Night was the name of their first record. The group consisted of William Bell, James Taylor, Norman West, and Lewis Williams. This is their first release on the Stax record label from June of 1962. It features Lewis Williams on lead, group member William Bell, who went on to have some cool soul recordings also on the Stax label. He is in this group, but Lewis Williams is on lead. This group is called the Del Rios. It's from June of 62. The song is called Just Across the Street.
I've seen and I've watched from my window, just wondering about a true love I'd someday meet. But I'd never thought the one I love lived just across the street. I saw you one evening as you came home. Your smile and your hello was oh so sweet. Then I knew I'd found the one I loved, living just across the street. Something we're made for each other, like the leaves were made for the tree, and the bird for the wild blue yonder. And I knew you were made for me. You're mine, and I'm so happy. I feel I've got the world at my feet, and I thank the stars for sending me a love just across the street. Yes, I have found just across the street.
Wow, great to hear that one again. Haven't heard that in such a long time. Charlene, when was the last time I played that 45 here on the Vinyl Treasure Show? But those are the Del Rios from June 1962 out of Memphis, Tennessee on the Stax label. Lewis Williams on lead for that one. Just Across the Street is the name of the tune. John G here for a Saturday evening. Hope you're digging on these cool 1960s 45. Let's go to Brooklyn, New York for this group. I played their first of two on the Herald label last week, a song called Marlene. This one from October 62. They're called the Concords. Let's flip the 45 over, give a listen to the B-side. It features Mike Lassman on lead. These are the Concords with a B-side, a song called Our Love Wasn't Meant to Be.
We'll build a dream world, a world where our two hearts are free, and that's the way we will live till some far day. For they say our love wasn't meant to be. If we should meet will pass each other by. Oh, that's what people want to see. Somehow we're part of the love that we feel inside. For they say our love wasn't meant to be. Wasn't meant to be. When they said our love wasn't meant to be.
October 62 release, they're called the Concords. That is the B-side to their first release on the Herald label, Our Love Wasn't Meant to Be. Mike Lassman on lead. Mike was the lead singer of Mike and the Utopians on the CJ record label from 1958. Earlene was the song, and I Found a Penny, a great tune that they do. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening. We are in the early 60s. Let's move into 1963. We go back out to California, and I don't know much about this artist. It's his only release on Bernie Solomon's Everest label out of Hollywood, California, and it was a tune co-written by J.J. Jackson, who I don't know if this singer also wrote the record, but anyway, his name is Easton West. It sounds odd. Eastin. Easton West is his name. It's from June of 63, Everest Records. Give a listen to his tune. It's called Ring Telephone.
My love and I had a fight last night. Now I'm waiting for a call to tell me it's alright. Oh, ring telephone, ring telephone. I said a ring telephone, ring before I lose my mind. Before I lose my mind. She should have called me about an hour ago. I can't stand this waiting, 'cause time is moving too slow. Oh, ring telephone, ring telephone. I said ring telephone, ring before I lose my mind. Before I lose my mind. Now you know I wanna call her, but I just don't wanna be weak. Come on and ring telephone, ring me the love that I see. I don't know what we quarrel about. I only know that her love is something I can't live without. Well, ring telephone, I said
June 63 there for East and West. East and West on the Everest label out of Hollywood, California. Ring Telephone is the name of the tune. John G are continuing here. We are going to midnight, maybe a little bit of overtime. Let's go out to San Antonio, Texas for this group. Very big in the state of Texas. Their debut single was in 1960 on the Harlem label out of San Antonio. Then they signed with Abe Epstein's Cobra label. Now here is their third and final release on the Cobra label, written by the lead singer. His name is Demas Garza, and this group is called the Royal Jesters. This one from April of '63, the Royal Jesters on Cobra with their tune called I Want to Be Loved.
I want to be loved by someone who'll have me. I want to be kissed by someone who'll need me. Well, I need it so bad. Oh, oh, yeah, so bad. Need you so bad. I want to be thrilled and held close at hand. Who'll answer my plea? I'm lonely, can't you see? But I need it so bad. Oh, oh, yeah, so bad. All of my life I've been lonely, never had someone for myself. But now I don't want to be lonely. I want it, I need it so bad. I want to be loved by someone who'll have me. I want to be kissed by someone who'll need me. Well, I need it so bad. Oh, oh, yeah, so bad. Oh, oh, so bad. Oh, oh, yeah, so bad.
April 1963, the Royal Jesters on Cobra Records out of San Antonio, Texas. I Want to Be Loved is the name of that tune. Demas Garza on lead there. Unfortunate that we lost him November 11th of 2008. He was only 61 years old, passed away from a heart attack. He does some great records with the Royal Jesters. John G here for a Saturday evening. We are now officially in a Vinyltreasure overtime, so we'll go a little bit longer here as we normally do. And let's continue here for this next artist from Delano, California. His name is Raymond Jimenez, and his first release was back in 1961 on the Dore record label, but he recorded two on Tony Hilder's Impact record label. Now, he co-wrote this tune with Al Garcia, who was with a group called the Rhythm Aces, as this song was originally written for the Charades on the Northridge label. I think it was called Surf and Stomp. But then this artist, he kind of changed the name a little bit in late 1963. He called the song Soul and Stomp, and I'm talking about Lil Ray, Lil apostrophe. So this one's on the Impact record label. It's late 1963. Let's give it a spin. Lil Ray and the Premiers on Impact, with kind of like an alternate title of that Surf and Stomp, a song called Soul and Stomp.
Oh, 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 yeah. Oh, oh, oh.
live audience and everything else there. That's on the Impact record label. Lil Ray and the Premiers, late 1963. And really that tune called Surf and Stomp, originally done by the Charades. The Charades on the Northridge label, the flip side of that Charades record, For You, an excellent record. But that's Lil Ray and the Premiers with Soul and Stomp. John G stomping here for a Saturday evening. This is the July 4th weekend, I guess, and kind of weird because a lot of people got to go to work on Monday the 3rd. I am not. I am taking a vacation day that day. We'll see what me and Barbara got a lot of things to do that day, so hopefully I will. I got to go see the doctor, though, in between. But anyway, let's continue with a little bit of more of Vinyl Treasure overtime here. Here's a group from Los Angeles, California, and with their name, they were trying to capitalize on a brand of candy. And how many of you out there are familiar with the M&M candy? Well, this group capitalized on this, the name of that candy. They were known as the M&Ms and the Peanuts, and they put out 3 45s on John Dolphin's Money record label between 1964 and 1965. And this is their first, features dual leads, Willie Malone and Norman Richmond. This one from June of 64 for the M&Ms and the Peanuts on Money, and a song called Open Up Your Eyes.
Why don't you open up your eyes so you can see how much your loving means to me? Yes, my dear, I want some loving from you. Yes, I do. Open up your eyes and you realize there is no one I'm trying to hide. Don't want nobody, I want only you. Gave me your love and your sympathy when I was down on my knees. So my darling, oh, can't you see how much your loving has given me? Open up your eyes and you realize there is no one I'm trying to hide. Don't want nobody, I want only you. Yes, I do.
Out of Los Angeles, California, there, those are M&Ms and the Peanuts. I love those chocolate-covered peanuts, I really do, but not going to be eating any, not this weekend. But that's June 1964, the first of 3 for the M&Ms and the Peanuts on the Money label. Open up your eyes and make sure they melt in your mouth, not in your hands. John G here doing a little bit of Vinyl Treasure overtime. Let's continue now. And a couple weeks ago, actually more, maybe a couple of months ago, I played a 45 by a group called the Fortune Tellers. They were out of Philadelphia, PA. I played the B-side of their Atlantic 45 called I Love You Inkadoo. But here is the intended A-side. This one from July of 1963. Atlantic Records. Give a listen to the Fortune Tellers and their song called Marry Her, Joe.
Yes, he did. Hey, hey. Too bad. Yes, he did. Hey, hey. Too bad. Yes, he did. Hey, hey.
Get the wedding dress ready. Cut the wedding cake. I'm getting married, yes. Oh, yes. And mama don't like my girlfriend. She don't understand. No, she don't understand. This girl for a wedding man. Please, mother dear, please, mother dear. Please have no fear, I'm in love with this girl. There's no other girl. Mama said, Joe, you're so young to start off marrying so young. Soon you wanna be free, then you'll come home to me. Please, mother dear, please, mother dear. Please have no fear, I'm in love with this girl. There's no other girl.
Papa said Mama be the girl.
Oh, yes, she did.
A long, long time ago.
So long ago.
Two kids fell in love.
Yes, they really did.
They lived next door to
Next door to door.
Then they got married.
What a beautiful thing.
And lived happy evermore.
Oh, Joe, that's all I have to say. Well, I got to have her.
Marry her, Joe. Marry her. Marry her, Joe.
'Cause I really love her.
Marry her, Joe. Marry her. Marry her, Joe.
So, get the wedding dress ready. Cut the wedding cake. I'm getting married, yes. Oh, yes. Well, I got to have her.
Marry her. Marry her.
'Cause I really love her.
Marry her. Marry her.
Mama, don't worry, girl.
Marry her.
We'll be walking down the aisle.
Those are the Fortune Tellers. The Fortune Tellers on the Atlantic label. Their tune called Marry Her, Joe. That one there from July 1963. The same group had releases on the Cheryl label, also on the Music Makers label. JohnnyGs here in Vinyltreasure. Overtime. We'll go for a few more 45s. Let's go back to Brooklyn, New York for this group that had 3 releases on Joel Schulman's Yussels record label. And this is the B-side of their first from 1963. It features Eddie Navarez on lead. Let's give a listen to a group called The Young Ones. The Young Ones on Yussels with a B-side, a song called Those Precious Love Letters.
Precious love letters, so faded and old, souvenirs of my darling, more precious than gold. She now loves another.
there called The Young Ones. The Young Ones there, 1963. Eddie Navarez on lead there on the Yussels label. That's the B-side. The A-side may be an a cappella. I don't know. It might be an a cappella record there, but a song called Those Precious Love Letters. Johnny G here. We're doing a little bit of Vinyl Treasure overtime. Let's go to Sid Nathan's King label. Feature a lot of the Sid Nathan's 45s on this evening's shows. It's the only release for this artist. He goes by the name of Tony Dell. And I don't know who Tony Dell is. Maybe he's Tony Casino, who co-wrote this song. But it's from June of '63. Tony Dell on King. Give a listen to his tune. It's called My Girl.
My girl. My girl is the queen of the teens, my special angel, she belongs to me. Everybody knows it, she's my little dream. That's my girl, my girl. When she holds me oh so tight, feels so heavenly. Chills run up and down my spine, she's a girl for me. Everybody knows it, she's my little dream. That's my girl. She was sent from heaven up above. The Lord sent me her, a wonderful love. And now I'm so happy, as happy as can be. 'Cause I love her, she loves me. What a world it's gonna be. My girl. She was sent from heaven up above. The Lord sent me her, a wonderful love. And now I'm so happy as can be. 'Cause I love her, she loves me. What a world it's gonna be. My girl.
June 63 release there for Tony Dell. Tony Dell with a cool doo-wop there, My Girl. That's one there on Sid Nathan's King record label out of Cincinnati, Ohio. Johnny's got 2 more 45s to go before we sign off here as we stay in the year of 1963. And this is a cover song originally recorded back in 1957 on Bob Keene's Keene record label by Billy Storm and the Valiants. But this is an interesting rendition for this artist. His name is Jim Burgett. I played a record, his debut record on Columbia called Let's Investigate, but he does a couple tunes, or more than a couple tunes, on the Columbia label. But this is on the Oro label, O-R-O Records. It's the third of 3 he recorded on Oro. It's from '63. Give a listen to Jim Burgett with his rendition of the Valiants tune, This Is the Night. 3.
With the moon up above,
cover tunes as we close down the Vinyl Treasure show. That is Jim Burgett. Jim Burgett, 1963, the third release on the Oro label. His rendition of the tune, This Is the Night. Well, that's going to do it for Johnny G and the Vinyl Treasure Show. I want to thank you for joining Johnny G, tuning into some cool original vinyl 45s out of my collection. You want to get in touch with me, send me an email at vinyltreasures@aol.com. Send me some requests. Tell me if you like the show or not. Tell me anything, but to let me know. Enjoy bringing the tunes every Saturday from 10 to midnight right here on Top Shelf Foley's been recording this on the Ustream broadcaster for you collectors out there. I will post up the video on my YouTube account. Also, there is the stream audio. You can tune into my website, vinyltreasures.net. You can stream or download the shows there. And that's going to do it for tonight. We're going to close the show with an appropriate record for this artist out of Dallas, Texas. And he goes by the name of Bob Haydon, Haydon. It's from February of 1964, and it's on the Night label, K-N-I-G-H-T, the Night label. And the name of the tune is called Gonna Go, Gonna Leave Ya, and that is the fact. That is it. That's going to do it, folks. Want to thank you for joining me tonight. Hope you dug on a lot of the tunes. Please tune in. Oh, no, Dave the Rave will not be on tomorrow evening. Mr. Dave the Rave will not be. And I don't know who's on because they were talking about it being Otto, so I don't know. You're going to have to check it out starting at 9 o'clock here on Top Shelf Oldies. But anyway, want everybody to have a safe and happy weekend. Have a great 4th of July weekend. Be careful out there with the driving and all that, and the fireworks. One time, remember, I almost blew my finger off lighting a fire. Actually, I was running with a firecracker in my hand. That was really, really bad. But anyway, just don't do that. Well, anyway, I'll see you here next Saturday starting at 10 p.m. from 10 to midnight right here on Top Shelf Oldies for cool original vinyl 45s out of my collection. Just want to say, everybody, thank you, Charlene, for all your help. Just want to say, everybody, so long.
Gonna